Thank you guys so much for hopping on. Tonight's our fourth call. And this is this is not the final call, but this is the final assignment call. I feel like I'm lisping because I have new trays, so I apologize. But next week, I want to let you guys know, everyone that's on this call live and everyone that's watching this recording, make sure you're on next week, because next week we're going to be celebrating how far we have come, right? We always want to celebrate our progress, whether it's, day 1 or day 100 or whatever it is. You always want to celebrate the things that you've been doing, your effort, your willingness, your growth, the things that you've been able to let go. So next week, it's going to be a lot of fun. I want you guys to be there. So next Wednesday, 6 p.m. It's our 6 p.m. Pacific time. It's our last call together. So make sure that you're there. So with that said, I loved that you guys shared your assignments from last week. And I know I've talked to a few of you, whether you're on live or on watching the recording, that you've continued to focus on the good things, the things that you're grateful for every day. And it's already made a huge difference in your days. I know Raina was telling me earlier that she's even encouraged her hubby to do it with her, right? And she's already seeing a difference, even though it's only been 5 days. And it's crazy because what we talked about last week, like we take things for granted, right? Like we take things for granted if our significant other makes us a cup of coffee, or we take things for granted that there's a good parking spot at the grocery store. We tend to forget about the good things that just come into our lives, and we tend to focus on all the negative things that come into our lives, right? Like I bet you if your husband makes you coffee every day, sometimes you say thank you, sometimes not. But I bet you he would know if he forgot to make coffee. You'd be like, okay, rude. Like you didn't make me coffee today, right? Because for some reason, it's easier to focus on the negative because that's where our mindset has been for so long. But with that said, helping our mindset focus on, or helping our minds focus on the good and be intentional about starting our day looking for the good, those are the things that are going to start standing out. So you're going to be less irritated, you're going to be more patient, you're going to be able to have tougher conversations in an easier manner and be able to get through challenges easier, right? Like stronger, wholeheartedly, all that jazz. So keep doing that, because it's not just a I don't know why I was going to say one-stop shop. It's not a once and one-time thing that it's going to fix everything. It's something that you want to continue focusing on. And remember, like I said, the first 3 calls, give yourself grace. If you find yourself focusing on the negative one day, like tomorrow, you wake up and just everything's hitting the fan and it's not your day, don't get discouraged. Decide in that moment that you're going to turn it around. Decide in that moment that you are in control. You are in charge of what you focus on. You are in charge of how your day goes. And so if you skipped your morning routine, or if you're running late or whatever it is, give yourself grace. And whenever you become aware of the fact that your day is going sideways, start fresh right there. Maybe even just lay down and pretend you're waking up again. I remember I read this book where she said, I don't even know who it was. I read so much, but she said, I will tell myself to lay down wherever I'm at. If I'm in the kitchen or living room or whatever, when I start feeling like my day is going sideways, I lay down for 15 seconds and pretend to wake up again. Like I'm restarting my day. And I was like, granted, we can't always do that. Like if you're a teacher at a school, you can't just lay down in the middle of your classroom like you guys are, I'm restarting my day. But if you can, or even just like have a mental check, like close your eyes and then take 3 breaths and then come back and say, I'm restarting, right? So wanted to share a little bit with you guys about last week and moving forward. Today, we are talking about the letters V and the letters E. The letter V stands for vibe, as you guys know in the PDF. So Michael likes to call it airy-fairy. I am very in tuned with my intuition and how I feel and how others make me feel and how I feel around certain people. It's called empathy, or being an empath. But if you pay attention to how you feel, Or if you pay attention to how certain people make you feel, like this is a call for you. And if you don't, this is also the call for you, because then you're going to start being more focused on it, right? So there's certain people in your life that I guarantee you that you lean on when you're having a shitty day. Like if you're feeling bad, you want this person to be around, whether it's a phone call or in person or whatever, because they just make your life better, right? Because they give off positive vibes. They give off this frequency that makes you feel supported, loved, uplifted, you laugh, you cry, you feel safe, whatever it is. There's also people I'm sure that you have in your lives or had in your lives where you hang out with them and immediately you feel heavy. Immediately you feel like either dirty or icky, or like maybe they gossip or complain all the time, or just everything's a problem. And you leave them feeling worse than you did when you met up with them, right? Those are obviously not the people you want to call when you're having a shitty day. So when we are going to focus on our vibe, I like to say, act as if. If you want to have confidence, if you want to have a positive mindset, you act as if you already do. Just like if you want to eat healthy, you start putting in the action. If you want to be successful in your business or parenting or whatever, act as if. You have to act, you have to put action behind whatever it is that you want. Because what we want is great, but if it's not followed up with implementation, if it's not followed up with action, we will never achieve that. So say you want to start waking up with your morning routine with a positive mindset that, hey, I get to wake up early and pour into me, instead of like, oh, Vicki's making me wake up at 5 o'clock again tomorrow to do my morning routine. That's not acting as if. That's being resentful towards me. So thanks for that. Thanks for that if that's you. But you're not acting as if you want to do that. You're not acting as if you want to be a morning person or continue your personal growth with your positive mindset first thing in the morning. So act as if. The feelings that you want, the things that you want to achieve, how you want to feel, the thoughts that you want, the affirmations that you want to believe, act as if those are already true. And I'm not talking about like being cocky or vain or selfish or any of those ego-driven emotions or feelings. I'm talking about confidence and love and supported and abundant and appreciated and all those loving, humble feelings that we all want to feel. So that's the first one under vibe, is act as if. Second is act how you want to feel. I kind of already touched on this, but say that this is especially useful when you are losing yourself. And I don't want to say losing yourself like you don't know who you are anymore. I mean like losing your cool. Maybe you're in a confrontation with someone or an argument, or maybe your significant other didn't pick up the milk at the grocery store and you're a little bit irritated, or your kids aren't doing their homework, or whatever it is. Think for a second before you speak, before you react. How do you want to feel? How do you want this to go about? What do you want to come out of this? Right? A lot of times I used to be this way. Sometimes it gets the best of me. I could be very reactionary, right? Especially if it's something that I feel I didn't do, or something that I thought I did a certain way and it didn't come out that way, right? Like, I got the perfect avocados. What do you mean these aren't perfect avocados? And then to someone else, they could be like crap avocados. Not saying I've ever gotten an argument about avocados. I'm just using it as an example. But sometimes we are ego driven, and that's how we get defensive, and that's how we're so reactionary, to where our mouth moves before we even have time to think about it, right? So take 3 breaths. Always think about 3, the number 3. Always take 3 breaths before you respond to whatever it is, whether it's your children, your parents, your significant other, the guy that at the grocery store that was a jerk to you, whatever it is. But think for a minute while you're breathing in and out for 3 counts, or 3 breaths, and think, how do I want to feel? How do I want to leave this situation, this issue, right? Because when you think about it like that, you're going to hold yourself up to a higher standard than you would if you were reactionary. Does that make sense? Number 3, show up how you'd like others to show up. And I'm going to flip it over just a quick sec. So when I say show up to how you'd like others to show up, one thing we have to remember, just because you do things a certain way, you're loving, you're giving, you're caretaking, you take out the trash, you do all this stuff. Just because you do things a certain way, you cannot have expectations that anyone else is going to be just like you. So I want to have that side note, because when we do that, we're like, well, I give and I give and I give. Are you giving because you want them to be giving just like you? Are you giving because that's how you are? So don't set yourself up for disappointment by expecting someone else to show up just like you. However, at the beginning of this, I said, show up how you'd like others to show up. If you want someone to do something kind for you, or if you want someone to compliment you, or if you want someone to accept a compliment from you, show up that way. If you're celebrating something amazing and you want support, how are you going to support your friends or your family, right? So you want to show up like you want from other people. You want to be the best version. You obviously want to attract the best version of people. So you want to give that best version to other people. So act how you want to feel, show up how you'd like others. And this is my last, or this is not the last one, but number 4 is use words or your platforms. And I'm saying this because I know y'all have Instagram, y'all have Facebook. Use your platforms to uplift and encourage. So here is the thing, and I'm sure we've all felt this way. You could be in the shittiest of moods. You can be feeling down, whether it's that time of the month or you're just, something happened and there's a lot weighing on your heart and someone needs help from you. And you help said person, whoever it is. You feel a little bit better because you poured into someone else, right? It's the weirdest thing. This is why this is going to sound super selfish, but I'm not meaning it in any way, shape, or form. This is why I've loved Beachbody coaching for so long, because even on like days where I've gained weight or I've ate like shit and I've been able to encourage someone to move their body or to read personal development or something, and they say thank you to me, I'm like, okay, I could keep going another day. Like I feel good. And I wasn't doing it because I needed to feel that way. But when you pour into someone else, you immediately feel good, and it's unselfish doing it that way. So when we use words and we use our platforms to encourage, to uplift, to serve other people, it helps our subconscious tell us that we're allowed to feel better because we're being service minded. We're doing something bigger than ourselves. And I know this whole course was about us and our self-love and our self-worth and our mindset. But it also carries on to everything around us too, right? We need to spread that love outwardly. And I know a lot of you guys already do this, whether you're on the call live or watching the recording, you guys already do this. But when you're intentional about doing it, when you're intentional, you do it more often. You do it with more heart behind it, right? Instead of just like, oh, this quote sounded good on Pinterest, I'm going to throw it up real quick. Whether it's in a mom's group or on your social media or you're sharing it with a friend. But if you have intention behind it, why are you sharing this? What does it mean to you? When you share, I know it's not a social media training, but I'm going to talk about social media for a minute because it's all over the place. We're all on social media. We spend probably at least 50% of our day on social media, whether we're mindless scrolling or intentionally working or connecting with other people or whatever. But when you're on a platform, especially right now especially since coming out of 2020 and like politics and religion and everyone just has something to say about everything, you want to be that light at the end of the tunnel, right? Because how many of us have been scrolling on social media when we've already been in a funk and we're like, I want to delete Facebook. I can't even tell you guys how many times I've said I want to delete Facebook. Like literally, I'm like, I run half my business on Facebook, but I still want to delete Facebook. Every time I go on there, I've unfollowed like, and I'm like, if I'm unfollowing you, why am I even your friend? Because all you do is complain or bitch or fight with everybody. But you want to be the light for other people. You want to be the one that helps them out of their funk. You want to be the one that gives them a smile, which is going to lead me to number 5, which I'm not going to get to yet. But you want to be the one who lifts people up, because you know what it's like to feel down. You know what it's like to be sad. You know what it's like to shrink into yourself and push away from everybody and not say anything because you don't feel good right now. And you know there's other people out there right now that are feeling that way. And they're bombarded by all this negativity all over social media, all over the news, all over everywhere. So if something is pulling at your heartstrings that you want to say it. Don't, and here's the thing too with social media. I know a lot of people try not to be vulnerable on social media because they're afraid of judgment. They're afraid of what other people are going to think. Me and my girl earlier talked about this. When we're afraid of judgment, we're actually judging ourselves. So I know I've talked to quite a few, especially of my coaches about this, is when you go from having a negative mindset, or you always post about negativity, or you're complaining, or just not upbeat posts, then you feel like a fraud or a phony when you start posting positivity. And you're afraid to be seen like that, when in actuality, you're the only one judging yourself, because no one, anyone with a heart anyways, is not going to be like, well, Danielle's used to always post negativity and now here she is like making me smile. Like, who's going to say that? They're going to be like, thank you, I needed to see this. And if not, they're going to, they don't need to be in your social media life anyways. But be intentional about being that light to others, because when we think that people aren't paying attention, people pay attention. Whether it's 10 followers, 100 followers, 1,000 followers, people are paying attention, and positive energy spreads just as much as negative energy. So you have a choice what you're going to spread. Number 5, under 5, is smile. Okay. I know it's really hard to do right now when you have to wear a fucking mask everywhere, right? Like, I am that awkward person at a grocery store. Well, I will wave, like, because I'm always smiling if I pass you, or if like I'm going to grab bread right next to you, I usually smile, but they can't see me. So I'm like, thank you, because you can't see me smiling. I'm going to get an awkward mask with like a big red lips with a big smiley face, so they think I'm smiling at them. But anytime that you're in your car, or social distancing where you don't have to wear a mask, or on a Zoom, or seeing your neighbor walk down the street or whatever, smile. When you smile, it is scientifically proven that it boosts your endorphins, but then also it's contagious energy. When someone smiles at you, you naturally want to smile back, right? Like when you see someone smiling, you smile back. It's that high vibe. It's that high frequency that you're instilling outwardly, just physically. I'm just going with physically or outwardly. Pick which one. But also it's being service minded. You're giving unto others, right? You're doing something for yourself, for them, but it's not just for yourself. It's about the bigger picture. We're spreading more positivity. We're giving that vibe that we are happy, we are joyful, we are confident, we are brave, we believe in ourselves, and that we love ourselves, and we want to spread that to other people. So that is under 5. E, I was going to say number E. I'm all over the place tonight, you guys. I'm sorry about that. And I promise you, I have not broken into my celebratory bottle of Prosecco yet. That's for afterwards. E is for evolve. So at the beginning of this course, I talked to you guys about always be willing to remain a student, right? Always be willing to grow, to learn, to expand, to evolve. Now, what I want to talk to you guys about evolving is talking about facing challenges. Here's the thing, we're always going to be faced with challenges in our lives, whether it's something so minimal or something so extravagant that sometimes it's going to feel like it's going to knock us on our ass. But when we do the habits that we've been doing, when we come to terms with the fact that I can handle this, whatever it is, I can handle this, because the universe would not throw something in my direction that I cannot handle. Before, when we were faced with challenges and we felt dark, we felt like there was no light at the end of the tunnel, we were unable to face challenges because we weren't able to accept our responsibility within that challenge, right? It's really hard to do that when you have a negative or a lack of mindset. And so that's why we've been working on that. That's why every day we show up for ourselves. That's why we've created that morning routine. That's why we've been writing our affirmations and using Post-it notes and reminders and the I am app on our phones. That's why we're continuing to throw everything at it that we can to battle our negative mindset or insecurities, our lack, or just the feeling of unworthiness, which is not a good feeling. And to be honest, I don't even know if I could have tackled the smallest challenge when I was feeling unworthy, right? Like, I think about of all the little opportunities that I've missed out on because I was feeling unworthy, right? Like all the things that I wouldn't face, all the wrongs that are all the people that done me wrong that I could have said, hey, this didn't feel good. But instead I was already feeling shameful or I was already feeling unworthy. So I didn't stand up for myself. Like there's so many times in our life where we don't take charge because we don't feel like we're able to. But that is why we want to continue to evolve and to grow and to work on our internal strength so we realize we are strong enough to face any challenge head on, right? And realize there is always going to be challenges, but you are capable, you are truly emotionally, physically, mentally capable of handling any challenge that comes your way. Some are going to be easier to manage than others, but that is fine because no matter what, you've got this. And you've got to tell yourself that you've got this. Also, when it comes to facing challenges, this is another beautiful way to evolve. When something happens in your life, instead of saying, why is this happening to me? Say, how can I use this as a lesson? How can I use this as a lesson? So I'm going to give an example. Before 9 years ago, I was in an unhappy marriage. We were living paycheck to pay, not even paycheck to paycheck. We got non-sufficient funds in the mail all the time saying we overdraft and all this stuff, right? In that headspace, I was like, why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to me? Why does this keep happening to me? Instead, what I should have done is, what lesson is this teaching me? Well, obviously, it's teaching me that I should have budgeted better. It's teaching me that I should have paid attention to the money that was in my account before going to spend more money. I know that has nothing to do with self-love. I was just giving it a little example. But look at the issue, the problem, the situation, and think, well, what lesson is this teaching me? What lesson am I learning from this? So I know when this happens again, or before this happens again, I know what to do to prevent this from happening. And that all comes with the mindset of growth, right? Not going backwards, not staying stagnant, but realizing, hey, I've been in this situation before, or I want to prevent the situation from happening again. So what can I learn to grow from here to prevent that, right? So, okay. And I believe I talked about this on the second call or maybe the third call, but also when you're evolving, continue to create a plan for yourself. So say right now you have a morning routine that is just kicking ass, you feel like a rock star, but then you fill up your journal or your personal development book is done. Then the next day you wake up and you're like, oh shit, well, I don't have an empty journal, or I don't have a new book, so I'm going to skip today. I'll go get it later. And then you forget because life happens, right? And then 2-3 days go down the road and you still haven't done it. You're starting to resort back. You're procrastinating doing what you needed to be doing. So make a plan. What book are you going to read next? Go to Marshall's or TJ Maxx or get on Amazon and order a butt ton of journals. Like, make sure that you're setting yourself up for success. You guys, there's so many things in our life that could prevent us from sticking to a habit. Try to make it as easy as possible. If you have a hard time working out in the morning, set out your workout clothes the night before so you don't even have to wrestle through your clothes and be like, what do I want to wear this morning? If you have a hard time getting out of bed and sitting with your morning routine, have your coffee mug under the coffee pot ready to press the button, turn on, and all your stuff right there on the table ready for you to go. Maybe even turn the lamp on. But set yourself up for success and keep a game plan going for what you're going to be doing next. If you're on your workout, like your fitness journey, what are you going to do next after you're done doing your 30 days yoga at the studio or whatever workout you're doing? What are you going to do next? You always want to keep a game plan because you know that you are going to remain a student. You're going to remain evolving, and you're going to keep going because this is a lifestyle change, right? And give yourself grace. I talk about this all the time, but give yourself grace. If you skip a day, or if you just are having, I know, like, I have you guys do the nightly check-ins, and some of you are like, I had a shitty day and I'm leaving it as that, or come noon, like, my day got better or my mindset got better, or whatever. When you become aware of that moment or that day, give yourself grace. Don't get discouraged and let it bleed into the next day, right? Don't get discouraged and get down on yourself and feel shame because you didn't handle a situation the best that you can. We're all human. We're all going to make mistakes, but we want to continue to evolve and keep going and growing, which is the beautiful thing about this. Okay. So here is your homework assignment. Okay. Are you guys ready? It's going to be, well, I'm going to say it's going to be easier than your forgiveness letters. But depending on how you already are on social media, it involves social media, just to let you know, how you already are on social media, it may not be as easy as I think it is. But it's your perspective. So we are going to be the most uplifting person you know. With that said, we are going to start spreading some positive energy. We are going to start spreading that light. So within the next 24 hours, whether you're watching this on recording or on live, you have 24 hours to do a heartfelt post to uplift your friends, your family, and your followers. I'm sorry for that. If you guys can hear that notification, my son is requesting more screen time on his tablet, and he knows he shouldn't be doing that right now. Kids, I tell you. So you are going to do a heartfelt post, something that pulls at your heartstrings. You can share part of your story. You can share what it means to you. You can share how you've went through this course and what it's done for you. You can share whatever that makes you feel good that can add value to someone else's day. We are going to be intentional about spreading positive energy because we are working on ourselves, but it's not just for ourselves. We're not just going to keep this goodness to ourselves. We're going to spread it. We're going to give it to others because we want others to feel good about themselves too. We want others to know that they're not the only ones that are in pain. They're not the only ones that have felt like they've been unworthy or unloved or unsupported. So this homework assignment, we are going to do unto others. You have 24 hours. And after you do, I want you guys to go in the group and share, whether it's on Instagram or Facebook, share your post so we can all go see what you did and love and support on your post too. Okay. What do you guys think about that? Does that sound good? Do you guys have any questions or anything to share? Nothing? No? Everyone's quiet? All right. Well, this was an early call, a short call. Got to the point, even with my little side stories. Remember, I always want to say, just remember to give yourself grace, but be very intentional over the words that you use, the thoughts that you allow in your mindset. I hope you don't mind, Rena, but I'm going to share a little bit about what we talked about earlier today. Is when she was talking about how last week we were replacing or focusing on the negative and replacing our negative thoughts with positive thoughts. She said, I didn't realize how many negative thoughts I think every day. And I think that, for one, never get down on yourself when you realize how many negative thoughts you think. But two, it's great for awareness because you can see all the positivity that you can add into your life. And then there's a sticky part in that transition. When you start being intentional about focusing on the positive, you start really nitpicking at the negative that you focus on. And you're like, oh shoot, well, I really thought negative there. And oh gosh, I can't get this out of my head. And then you try to force yourself to think positive. And so it's like this uncomfortable, sticky slope, but you can get through it. And then the more you focus on the positive, the more you stop focusing on the negative. And then the more the negative doesn't bother you as much. Does that make sense? It's all about rewiring our brain and retraining our mindset. And that's why those affirmations are so huge. That's why it is crucial to talk to yourself the way you would your daughter, your best friend, your mother, your sister, any female that means the world to you, right? Because we'd be damned if someone talked to them the way that we've talked to ourselves. So why do we allow ourselves to talk to ourselves that way? So continue to give yourself grace, but continue to work on evolving and developing that love that you have for yourself, that you've always had for yourself, but you didn't realize it because something's been blocking it for so long. And that's why we worked on release. That's why we worked on those forgiveness letters. So we can uncover the beauty and the love and the hope and the belief that we've always had within ourselves. So I hope this helped tonight. I hope you guys are excited for next week, and I cannot wait to see what you guys have to share in 24 hours. So by 6:30 Pacific time, Thursday the 28th. Even for you guys watching the recording, maybe you only have 12 hours. You better get on it. That's why you should be on live. All right, ladies. Well, if you don't have any questions, it was great to see all your beautiful faces tonight. I hope you have a lovely evening, and I will see you all next Wednesday.